Alma.
Hello, fourth
Whoa,
graders.
did you see that sling off my ear?
No,
it
what
almost just I took it off and it went ring.
The potential energy almost became kinetic energy.
It sure did. Oh my goodness. Well, that was a lot of force. Hi, friends. Welcome back to
Hi.
TV Classroom.
Yeah.
Let's check in with our zones.
Let's do that.
Take a look at our zones chart. How are you feeling today? You might be in one zone. You might be in 3 zones. Every day is different. And every moment in the day can be different too, depending on the day you're having.
Yes.
So we've been kind of playing a little game to experience our emotions in a different way.
Yes.
So when I count down from 3, you are going to do a still frame. That means decide what your feeling is, figure out how you're going to be a statue, and then freeze. See if the people around you can figure out how you feel, and see if you can figure out how we feel today. Are you ready, everybody?
I'm ready.
Mr. Kevin, are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, 0. Miss Oslin, how you feeling?
I'm breaking character.
You are.
Well, it's good. I'm a little bit nervous. Just
Okay.
got some stuff going on, so I think that was like some nervous laughter.
Ooh, that
happening.
happens when we're nervous. We can have this laughter, and sometimes it happens at an inappropriate time when there's nervous laughter.
Yes, and what it is it's my body reacting because I'm uncomfortable, and I'm laughing. It's not funny, but it's nervous laughter, and I have learned and had conversations with people about using the term "check your laughter," where it's like, where is that laughter coming from?
Right. I've also experienced that with students when they've been in trouble and they start laughing, and I thought they were being disrespectful, and I actually made the problem worse.
Yes. Because it's not that they're being disrespectful.
They're not being disrespectful. They're nervous.
They're nervous.
Or worried. I had to learn that the hard way. That wasn't a fun lesson to learn.
So, Mrs. Wally, what was your
Green.
green? Good.
Yeah, I'm actually doing okay. I'm feeling settled today more than I was yesterday. So I am, and more settled than I was this morning. I was kind of all over the place this morning. Miss Oslin was wonderful. She just listened and let me be all over the place because she's a great teammate. Mr. Kevin, what about you?
I'm in the yellow green zone.
Okay,
Yeah. So
sounds
it's
good.
okay. We'll make it work.
I'm glad we're all here together today.
Me too. This is the best team, and I wouldn't do it with anybody else. And I'm glad we have each other to support each other when we're not all in the green zone.
And we know each other well enough to know that when I'm laughing in that moment,
You didn't think it was funny.
it wasn't that I thought something was funny. I wasn't laughing at anyone or anything. It was nervous laughter.
Nope, and my hair is doing something. Oh dear. Huh. It's okay, Mrs. Wally. It's just hair. So
Let's review our 3 personal
let's
standards.
do it.
Today and every day when we come together, we agree to
Show respect, make good decisions, and solve problems. And one way we are learning and practicing showing respect is by holding space to honor our indigenous land and people during every single lesson that we do.
And how we do that is I'm going to invite you to look out your window, look at the sky, the trees, your surroundings. Our physical space stands on the historical and ancestral lands of the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. We acknowledge the Puyallup Tribe of Indians community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. We make this acknowledgement as part of our work to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism and unjust treatment.
Yeah. It's important that we do this.
It is.
I'm just beginning my journey of really understanding what's happened in the past and listening. Just listening
Listening.
to learn and understand.
And it's important for me. I often, my mom would say this about my grandmother, that when they would be on the phone, that my grandma would be listening so that she knows how to react.
Right.
Like she's thinking not about what she's hearing, she's thinking about what she's going to say next.
Kind of like when you're in an argument with a friend and they're trying to say their point of view and you're just thinking about how you're going to have a rebuttal and say something different. It's that kind of feeling.
Yes.
And I'm learning to turn that off and just listen to understand.
Yes.
For no other reason but to understand.
And it's not easy.
It's not easy. I don't think it's any easy for anybody.
So listen to understand.
Yes. All right.
Well,
We have a new topic.
we do, and I don't have a new essential question for us.
I know what it is.
What is
How
it?
do the body systems work together to help us survive and grow?
There it is. Okay, let me see if I
I'm
can
glad
find
I
the right
remembered
slides.
that. You just had it.
I
You have the wrong one up, Miss Oslin? I think she has 2 PowerPoints.
Mrs. Oslin, do you have the wrong slideshow up?
Did you just open the old slideshow that we just did?
I don't know what I did. This
Well, we're going to find out.
That's
Welcome,
okay.
friends, to what happens with technology. Miss Oslin can do it. She's got this.
You can do it.
Because you were just looking at it. It said the big science word on it.
Yes, I don't know. Here we are.
Oh, look at that. Look at that essential question.
Ta-da!
Sounds a lot like what I said. Hooray!
I hope it was worth the wait.
It was. How do systems within the human body work together to help us survive?
To help us survive, thank you. Yes. Are you ready for a phenomenon? Or do you want to talk about the essential question first? Because this is a new unit.
I think we should just do the phenomenon.
Okay. This is really neat.
It's just a question because some kids have never thought about it,
Yes.
that our bodies are always working.
Ooh.
Are you
Oh,
ready, friends?
You had it ready.
Take a look.
Okay, here we go.
What do you notice? What do you wonder? Take a moment to think. We're going to give you 1 minute, and then we're going to have you share with someone around you. Okay. Now, I want you to turn and talk with someone near you. If you don't have someone near you to turn and talk with your learning buddy. If you don't have a learning buddy, tell us. Here we are. So, what was one thing you noticed and one thing you wondered? Turn and talk. Miss Oslin, what was one thing you noticed or wondered?
Okay. I know what this is because obviously
We put it together.
Put it together. But as I was looking at this picture, I was trying to imagine what I would think or notice if I didn't know what it was. And I was thinking it kind of looks like when you look inside a chicken egg.
I was thinking the same thing, or a fish egg.
And you can see like the embryo inside and you see all the veins. That's what I was thinking.
One thing I noticed was that really bright spot.
Yes.
I was curious about that. And then the dark spot. What's the bright spot? I know we're talking about human body system, so it has to be something within our body.
Yes. And I see veins, or what I think are veins.
Right? It looks like veins, so that gives me a good clue too that it's part of the body. Should we tell them what it is?
Yes, go ahead.
It's the inside of your eye.
What?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So what is the light spot?
That's the light coming in.
And what's the dark spot?
That's where light's recepted, I believe.
Cool.
I could be wrong. I don't know a lot. I'm learning along with you. I've been doing a lot of research. Miss Oslin's watched it and a lot of YouTube video watching, and it's still very complex to me. So we're going to do the best we can. The eye is so complex and so important.
And we wouldn't, I wouldn't, I need to use I statements. I wouldn't normally think of the eye as being complex
Me neither.
because I don't think about it every day. I take for granted
That you can see.
that I can see.
Right, I don't think about how my eyes are seeing. I don't think about how I'm seeing the camera and the screen and Miss Oslin and the paper, but my niece Hayden, she thinks a lot about how she sees because her optic nerve, which you're going to learn about, is not formed correctly. And the signals are all reversed, and so it's really difficult for her to see. So she has to use other senses to help her survive.
So through this unit, we're going to do some input charts, some chants, some videos. We're bringing in some experts.
Ooh, we have an expert coming.
Ooh. And it's a fun one too.
Nurse Michelle.
Nurse Michelle. We're
She's
excited.
the best.
Yes. So to learn all about what we think we know about the human body
And what we want to know.
I have a ton of questions.
So before we begin, what we want you to do is get out your journal. We want you to take 1 minute or longer if you need to. You can just press pause. Write down all the things you think you know about how our human body works, and write down some of the questions you have about how it works together to help us survive. Are you ready? 1 minute of think time, and go.
And that's 1 minute, because I
Okay.
was keeping an eye on the time.
Thanks, Mr. Kevin.
Nice.
Okay, I wrote down, I
Yes.
think I know that the eyes see like upside down backwards at some point.
Okay.
I don't know how it works, but I want to know what happens in my brain when that happens and like what exactly is going on.
Yes.
What about you?
I was coming up with a lot of questions, and what I think I know is that there's a lot of different systems within the human body.
Yes.
So there's the brain, there's like the cardiovascular system, which is your heart, your lungs. There's your digestive system. So those seem separate to me. I wonder if there's a connection.
It's all connected.
As we've learned, it's all connected.
Do you know where
How?
it connects? That's why you need to wear your helmets when you ride your bikes and go on skateboards.
Yeah.
Because can I tell a little cautionary tale really quick?
Yes, of course.
I have a friend who was snowboarding, and I'm glad she was wearing a helmet. She fell and hit her head really hard, and she couldn't remember anything. And luckily, it wasn't permanent, and she asked her friends to tell her who they were and where she met them and provide a picture, and her memory's starting to come back. But that's because she was wearing a helmet.
I have a connection with that.
Do you?
I, as a third grader, was riding my bike without a helmet, and I fell, hit my head, concussion, no memory of it.
Ooh.
Like, really could have done some damage.
Yeah.
Helmets are important.
Brains are special.
Oh, very special and complex.
Very.
Okay.
I don't know that as fourth graders we're going to understand it all this year, but we're going to start.
Yes.
Okay.
We have some new big science words. Mr. Kevin, are you ready?
I am ready for our big science word.
I hope you dance with us when he does that.
I hope so too.
Cornea.
Cornea.
Corn on the cob. Yummo, like a corn dog. I mean, Mr. Kevin.
Yummo,
laugh.
huh? I was thinking, I looked at the word and I saw corn, so I was thinking corner, and then
Area.
area, cornea.
Okay. What does it mean, Miss Oslin?
A cornea is the clear part of the eyeball's outer coating.
It's the outer coating of the eyeball.
It is the cornea.
It's like what protects everything.
And my sentence is, the cornea covers the iris and pupil.
Yeah, it's a protective layer in our eyes. It's a special thing, that cornea.
All right. Lens.
Well, I know like a hand lens to like see.
Or a
Something.
camera lens.
Yeah,
I was thinking something you look through.
to help you see.
And it's a clear part of the eye that brings together rays of light to see.
It's how we focus and unfocus.
Just like on a
Lens
camera.
or like
yeah.
a
Oh, yeah.
lens on my glasses. It fixes the focusing problems
It does.
in my lenses.
My lens helps me see clearly, whether
That's
it's
right.
my contact lens, my
Glasses lens
glasses
or my eye lens.
or your eye lens. Iris.
It's not just the color of your eyes.
I was thinking a flower,
Ooh,
'Cause there
it
is a flower called an
pretty.
iris.
There is. It's beautiful too.
but the iris is the colored circle area around the pupil of the eye.
And it's really important.
My iris is hazel.
My iris is bluish green.
Mr. Kevin, what color is your iris?
Probably a blue gray. Yeah.
Mine depends on what colors I'm wearing. It can be blue,
Oh.
gray, or green. It kind of, I have shape shifting eyes or color shifting eyes.
Interesting. We have a new chant.
Are you ready?
Yes, and
Okay.
this is to the tune of
Farah Jacques.
Frere Jacques.
yes.
Yeah.
So let's all hum that together to get the tune in our minds,
Okay.
because that's the hardest part for me.
Are you ready?
Okay, yeah.
Cells and tissues, organ systems, anatomy
The
is structure, physiology is function, body systems, biology. Cells and tissues, organ systems, homeostasis is a major purpose. Know their structure and their function. We almost got it. That was pretty good the first time.
Right?
It's just getting the pattern of homeostasis and anatomy, the structure. Yep.
It almost needs another like not syllable, but a
Yeah.
but a homeostasis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Homeostasis. We just have to hold the O.
Yeah.
Hold the O.
In my very out of tune voice that I learned is hereditary and genetic for me.
It's great.
Pretty cool.
So now you know how I messed up the slides? This one doesn't have the video. So
Oh, I bet you put it in the other one.
I think I did. Okay, so I'm going to close this.
Okay, so
We can make it go away. There we go.
as you do that, I want us to think about, knowing that we're talking about the eye today, how do you think the eye works? Before we do any learning, how do you think the eye works? What happens? Take a moment and think about it. And then I'm going to have you turn and talk with someone about what you know. Well, how does it see?
And how do we know that we see the same thing when we're looking
I
at
have
the same
had that
thing?
question. Like, I say that this is green, and Mr. Kevin might say that this is green, but how do I know that we both label it the same color green? Like it could see as a different color to Mr. Kevin, and he thinks that this color is green, but he sees it as a different color,
I have thought about that same thing.
and it makes my brain go round and round.
Okay.
Something to
Mrs.
think about.
Oslin,
Well, before
you've got
she
the
starts,
video.
I want you to turn and talk with your neighbor. How do you think the eye works? Because at the end, we're going to either confirm or change our thinking. Take a few seconds, turn and talk to your partner, your learning buddy, or to us. Tell us, how do you know the eye works? Okay. We have a video to watch.
Me too. I hope this works.
We're going to try. Here we go.
Kids Health presents How the Body Works with Chloe and the Nerve.
Nerb, just because eyeballs are the size of ping pong balls doesn't mean they make good ping pong balls.
A Nerb cannot be blamed for his love of scientific exploration, my dear Chloe. It is what makes him a Nerb.
Then can we use the eyeballs to explore how an eyeball works instead?
We could, but these are kind of small and
Squished.
one might say that.
How about we take a look at him?
Most excellent idea. Let's do. The eyeball is a beautiful machine with lots of different parts working together to let you see.
Poets say the eyes are the window to the soul.
Well, the window to the eyeball is the cornea, a dome of clear tissue up in front of the eye that focuses light as it passes through. Look at that beautiful green eye, and brown eye, and blue eye.
The colorful part is called the iris, right?
Yep, it's right behind the cornea. In the middle of the iris is a black circle called the pupil, an opening that lets light into the eye. The iris has muscles attached to it that change its size, making the pupil bigger and smaller to control how much light gets through.
So the pupil gets smaller when there's a lot of light and bigger when it's dimmer. Don't look now, but I think we're being watched.
Ha! He blinked first.
Which is a good thing. Blinking protects and moistens the eye.
Good point.
So what happens after the light has passed through the cornea and the pupil?
The light passes through the lens.
Like the lens in a camera?
Precisely. The lens focuses the light onto the back of the eye, where seeing really starts to happen.
Can the lens in the eye focus on stuff that's close and stuff that's far, like a camera lens would?
It sure can. Let's head inside to see how. Last one through the pupils, a rotten egg. The lens is held in place by a bunch of fibers which are attached to the ciliary muscle. Ciliary. The ciliary muscles change the shape of the lens to let the eye change its focus from something close by to something far away.
What are you waiting for? Let's get focusing!
To see something near, the ciliary muscle makes the lens thicker. To see something far, the ciliary muscle makes the lens thinner. From the lens, we travel to the retina, the back wall of the eyeball.
Right, because the lens focuses the light onto the retina.
The retina has millions of light-sensitive cells called rods and cones. About 120 million rods and 7 million cones in each eye.
Whoa, that's a lot of rods and cones. What's the difference between them?
It's the difference between black and white and color. The rods see in black, white, and shades of gray and help us see the shape and form of a thing. Rods also help us see in the dark.
And the cones see color?
Cones are sensitive to one of three colors, red, green, or blue. Together they let us see millions of colors. But cones need more light than rods to work well.
Hey, what's this thing behind the retina?
Hey, no bouncing on the optic nerve. It carries messages to the brain about what you're seeing. The rods and cones change the colors and shapes you see into millions of nerve messages. Then, those messages are carried along the optic nerve to the brain.
It's like your eye is sending the brain a report on what you're seeing.
Then your brain translates the report into cat, apple, or bicycle.
Or a ping pong ball. Keep your eye on the ball there, Nerb.
Go! It's on!
Amazing.
What a cool way to learn about the eye.
So cool. Okay. So we're going to do an input chart that's going to use some of that information
Yes.
that you just learned about to kind of cement it in your brain. Now, during this time, we don't want you taking notes.
No.
We want you just to watch and do your best to understand and see if you can start to make sense of how the system works.
See what connections you can make between our big science words, the video we just watched,
And the input chart.
And the input
I'm going to
chart.
go kind of fast because we're going to review this.
Yes.
Okay, so the eye is a sense organ. It's how we sense things. Its function, Miss Oslin, do you know what its function is? Do you have it up?
I do. It enables a person to see. It responds to light stimulus,
Ooh, it tells us if it's time to get up or go to sleep.
which this time of year, it's springtime here at TV Classroom, and it's getting lighter out earlier.
You know what I do? I have blackout curtains on Oliver's window so he stays asleep
That's
longer.
a good idea. And it converts nerve impulses.
Ooh, that's interesting. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the cornea.
Ooh,
And that's what they
cornea.
talked about. We heard that in the video.
We did.
That's this outer covering on the eye. It's clear, and it's a covering on the outside. And it looks like this.
Goes all the way around.
And it covers and protects our eye. It's a super, super important part of our eye because it protects all of those really fragile pieces that we just saw. Okay, so now let's do, what do you think? Pupil?
Sure.
Okay. The pupil, that's something it's covering. It's that little black looking spot in your eye. And
At
it
the
has
center
a
of
job.
the iris.
It constricts.
That means tightens.
What else does it do?
It dilates, which means
Ooh.
opens.
And it's like the opening to all the things. The opening to the brain. That's what I like to think of it as. Okay, and that's this part right here,
The pupil.
the pupil. And around that pupil, there's a really important muscle. It's called the iris. And it lives kind of right on the edge right here of that pupil. What does it do, Miss Oslin?
The function is to, what does this say? Regulates the amount of light entering the eye by constricting smaller, which means when it's really bright out, your pupil will constrict or get smaller, and you can actually see it on someone's eye. If it gets really bright, you can see their pupil shrink, or if it gets darker, it will dilate, which means open.
And we saw that on the video. It's the muscles that surround the pupil.
I did not know that it was a muscle.
Oh, that's new learning for you.
New learning for me.
And it has a fluid-filled chamber. So water is super important to our eyes. That's why staying hydrated is super important because our eyes use a lot of water. Okay, now let's talk about the retina. Whew. The retina, this is what the retina looks like. It's very complex, this retina.
It has light sensitive cells.
It does. That's this part right here. Colored.
It's like a sheet.
It is. And it lines around the entire eye. Back here all the way to the optic nerve. Because it helps send signals. How does it help send signals?
It has two different components to it. It has rods
Oh,
and cones.
rods and cones. What do the rods do?
Rods dim light and help us see shades of black, white, and gray. Like we saw in the video, the color changed to black and white
Yes.
and grays. That's what rods do.
Black, gray, white. What about cones?
The cones help with bright light, and that's where we see color, or that's what enables us to see color.
Okay, and this is all part of the retina. Okay. So then we have the inside of the eye. Whew. We got to see that in our observation chart, our phenomena picture. Attached from these muscles and the retina is the lens.
Ooh, the lens.
It's the part that focuses and unfocuses your eye. It's flexible and it focuses the light to the right spot in your eye. Oh, and here along inside the eye, there are also muscles that contract or relax based on what the rods and cones are seeing in the light that's being input into your eye.
Just like the muscles like in your arms, if you go to pick up something heavy, they contract, they get tight, and then they can relax,
That's right.
which means loosen.
And we saw all those arteries. Those were the blood vessels that are within your eye that enable these muscles to work. Muscles aren't going to work if they don't have blood flow. They'll die if they don't have blood flow. They need oxygen, they need water, and your blood helps carry that to them so that they can make the muscles in your eyes function. Same with the veins. Isn't that neat? It's all connected to the circulatory system through the veins and the arteries to keep the muscles contracting and moving.
So the veins and arteries are one way that our eyes, the system of our eyes, is connected to our circulatory system.
Our circulatory system supports our eye health. But then it's also connected with this thing called the optic nerve. That's what she was bouncing on. We've got this optic nerve, and this is what connects our eyes to our brain. The optic nerve. What does it do?
Well, it's short and thick.
Oh, short and thick.
Which makes sense because there's not a lot of space between your eyeball and your brain.
Right, it's not this
inside your
long.
head.
It doesn't go up. It just goes right back.
And it carries nerve impulses to your brain.
And those nerve impulses tell your brain what you're seeing. So it takes all of this information from the retina, from the light reflecting, the muscles contracting. It gives your brain a signal, and it sends it through that nerve impulse, and that's what tells your brain what you're seeing.
It's amazing.
Wild.
I love learning about this.
Now, if something's wrong with your optic nerve or something's wrong with your retina, that's when we start to get into visual impairment,
Yes.
where your signals are not sending correctly, so your brain isn't seeing correctly, or you might have an issue with your lens. And if you have an issue with your lens and it's not focusing correctly, your brain's gonna see it fuzzy.
That's why people wear glasses or contacts.
It's really hard for me here in the TV classroom. I forget. When you can see near, is that nearsighted? Yes.
Yes.
So I am nearsighted, but looking far away, if I don't have my glasses on,
I'm the same.
bad idea. So it goes here into your brain, and I'm just gonna outline the brain really quick. I'm not gonna go into how the whole brain works right now, but I wanna talk about the part of the brain that the eye is in. Let me just make all the brain wrinkles. The more wrinkly your brain is, the better it is. You want as many wrinkles as you can get.
And you can change that by learning.
You can. Learning something new helps give you wrinkles in your brain. Talking about what you're learning gives you wrinkles in your brain. Discussing it and learning from someone else gives you wrinkles in your brain. Healthy food gives you wrinkles in your brain, and so does exercise.
Changing your thinking. Ooh, that's a big one.
Okay, so right here in the cerebellum, in the front part of the brain, this is the cerebellum right here. And this is the brain stem, and this is where all of your other organs, this is where all of the nerves come into the brain. Okay, so the optic nerve travels through the brain stem, into the brain. And right here on your brain is where your vision happens.
So like right at the back. So if you kind of touch the back of your head,
that's where you see.
that's where your cerebellum is.
Your brain converts. It takes that information from the nerves, it converts the impulses.
Which means changes it.
Right plus left to the eye. So you have a right eye and a left eye. So it takes what's coming in, because you see two different images with your eyes. It takes that information in, it blends it together and tells your brain it's one image. So I want you to try this. Cover one eye. Notice what you see and where everything is. Now cover both and look at the other eye.
Everything moved.
Everything moved, right? So it's taking those two images and it's putting them together as one solid image. Pretty amazing.
That also helps with like depth perception.
It does.
So you can tell how far away something
Mine's
is.
Hayden. Her optic nerve doesn't work correctly, and that doesn't work well for her. So she can't tell if things are far away or close to her. So she uses a cane in unfamiliar environments so that she can tell how far or how close something is.
That's amazing.
It's an amazing tool. That's our eye. It's an overview of how it works. The light comes in, depending on how bright it is, the iris contracts or relaxes. The cones and the rods determine the light. It all goes in here to the nerves and the optic nerves where it's being recepted. It gets turned into an impulse sent through the optic nerve to the brain, where it takes both pictures, puts them together, and creates what you see.
The human body is amazing.
Amazing. Pretty cool, huh, Mr. Kevin?
Absolutely. I can see why you're so excited about it.
But it's complex and it's hard.
Oh,
Absolutely.
understand.
Yep.
very.
All right.
So
What's our job today, Miss Oslin?
do some thinking about how do systems within the human body work together to survive,
Specifically, the
to help
eye.
us survive.
How does
Yes.
it work with the systems in the body to help us survive?
We learned quite a few connections between the eye and the circulatory system, the
And
eye and the
the
brain,
nervous system.
the nervous system. And you are going to do some thinking about what is a new learning or a question you have about how systems in the body work together to help us survive.
Love
So
it.
it's that inquiry chart.
Yeah.
What's a new learning and what's question that you have?
I love it.
We would love for you to share with us your thinking. And Mr. Kevin's going to give you 2 ways that you could send us your thinking.
Well, fourth graders, I spy with my little eye an email address, tvclassroom@tacoma.k12.wa.us. Or you can always send us something in the regular
That's right.
mail to TV Classroom at 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Okay, now it's time for our affirmation.
I had a funny one. I'm not going to say it. I can see clearly.
I can see clearly. I see clearly.
But we're not going to do that one. I was just being silly.
And in the wintertime, it's icy clearly.
Mr. Kevin, let's see.
How about I see humor in all situations?
That's a really good one.
It's one I need.
Okay.
I need it.
And it's kind of a play on the eye.
And it kind of is a play.
I like it. Do you like it, fourth graders? Let's do it.
I see humor in all situations. Excellent job today, fourth graders.
Thanks, fourth graders.
We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you back here
Yep.
next time in our TV classroom.
Bye.
Rules. 1. You have 10 seconds to pick your crewmate. 2. A new timer will appear with an exercise for the crewmate you picked. 3. You will get 10 points for each correct crewmate and exercise you choose. 4. If you pick the imposter, you will lose all your points. 5. See how many points you can get. Good luck.